even as I second this this motion. And again, coming to tell us that now we must stop thinking about the boys and stop thinking about the men and just support the girl child. Mr. Speaker, I urge my fellow senators to remember that these women and girls are your sisters, are your children, potentially your future wives, business partners, because we are also doing business and contributing to this economy, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, when we are here to discuss matters on how to end femicide, Mr. Speaker, it's not an issue of a women affair. It is an issue of ensuring that every Kenyan, man or woman, is equally respected, Mr. Speaker. As I second this motion, and I can see I'm running out of time, I want to say that I am looking forward to an amendment that touches on the police force, particularly the gender desks, Mr. Speaker, to make them effective. And as we debate today, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my fellow senators to remember that we are not attacking men and we are not attacking boys, but we are trying to address an issue that is targeted towards our women and our girls, and that has to be spoken about, and particularly in this house. So I beg to second this motion, and thank you, Senator Crystal Asige, for ensuring that we are intentional about discussing this matter, and I hope that we will be able to legislate on issues of GBV. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the increased femicide cases recently witnessed in the country. Members, I will open up this debate, and as Valiaron directed, we will allow as many of you as are willing to speak to, but limited to 5 minutes each for every member who seeks to debate. I'm seeing from my dashboard, everyone else in the House has requested to speak to it. We will work within the time that is available, and I will call upon Senator Mutinda Tabitha Maureen to check the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me start by saying that it's a very dark Valentine for most of the women parliamentarians. This is because it's a day that we celebrate love, but the same love has brought darkness in terms of death. Before I proceed, I want to appreciate our male Senate colleagues, starting with Senator Maanzo, Senator Wakoli, and our good senator from Nandi, great senator from Embu, Senator Mondigi, and for appreciating us as women, for standing with us on this femicide discussion. Not forgetting you, Mr. Speaker, being on the seat on this discussion that we as female Senate legislators thought when we requested for this session that we will have our male counterparts in the House. But it gets more darker because the issue looks like a women issue only. We need you. You need us. We need to have this conversation together. We cannot achieve the menace of femicide without the men I appreciate the sergeant at arms male in the house. I do. They are our brothers. We work together, we are colleagues. This discussion of femicide, prated. It is not wrong to love. It's your choice. It's not criminal to decide whom you want to share your life with. There's no problem. The problem that we are addressing as legislators is the saddening part that our girls innocently will get into mutual relations, and as a parent it pains to the core when then you bury your young one simply because she was in the normal path of puberty, normal process that we all go through, and then someone decides to end their destiny. It is dark. It's a dark Valentine. As we've said, and as I look at the Article 43 of the Constitution, which says very clearly that everyone has equal right to the different facilities, from education, from social, economic, health, all that. Equally to the freedom of choice of the one you choose. There's no law that is against that. It's your choice. Citizens have questioned Parliament and asked, where have you been? But I want to state that the law is very clear. The law is very clear, and nobody is above the law, especially when it comes to matters of killings. And so I narrow it to the security forces. Security forces who seem not to have handled these issues fairly. Just last month, in January, when we lost the young girl, and Matara was mentioned to be the killer, young women came out, and I am so proud of them, because was it not for their decision to come out and tell their stories, we would not have known a lot that we know. But they came out, but it saddens that they reported these issues and nothing was done. In a nutshell, I want to say, our brothers, the boy child, the future, we urge you that let us be able to respect one another, be able to share what God said, that we share the love that has also been mentioned in the Bible.
Senator Mutinda, your time is up. Senator Manzo Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this very important motion. Mr. Speaker, the last of the worst cases of this offense happened to a girl from Makueni County. And it was such a sad affair, Mr. Speaker, because the head went missing for some days. And this was a university student, and you would imagine what it meant for the family and the people who knew this, with parents struggling to look for, ahead of somebody so that they may have a decent funeral. Although the funeral ended up to be a private affair, this matter was in the news for quite some days, and every Kenyan was very much saddened by that particular discourse. Mr. Speaker, as much as we want to blame the security, which can be done so rightfully, I also want to thank them for the effort made in this particular case, especially in finding the head. In the latest of cases of a Kenyan killed in the US by a fellow Kenyan, again also from my county, and then this Kenyan comes to Kenya, escapes from police, disappears. I also want to congratulate the effort to find this particular accused person who will be shipped to the US to stand trial. And I'm sure from the evidence available and from his conduct, he's likely to be sentenced to death or stay forever in jail. But I want to put a challenge, Mr. Speaker. In the event these particular activities happen, first and foremost, security comes in. In a lot of other cases also, poor evidence has been presented and these persons have been acquitted and they are out there ready to be a menace again yet to another life. I want to state that femicide can happen to a wife, can happen to a daughter, can happen to a friend, can happen to anybody. And in the same way also, that is femicide, also men get caught up in these situations, and a lot of men have also died in an affair of this nature. Mr. Speaker, we need to look at the law. We need to make sure there is clear protection of the law and there is sufficient punishment. But more important, this goes to the how we bring up our society, the morality in the society. Chapter 10 issues of this country. We need to begin training children from when they are young through role modeling by parents that violence against anyone is dangerous. When parents violate each other in front of children, children are likely to do worse when they grow up. And that's one way of beginning of addressing the root cause so that we deal with prevention, which is better than cure. Once alive, it's lost, and once somebody is dead, they're dead, they may not come back to life during our times. Mr. Speaker, as we address the social dynamics of it and the society in general, it doesn't only happen in Kenya, it's a matter in the world. It is motivated, first of all, by malice, hate of somebody who has been very close to you, lack of patience, lack of perseverance, and most of it is training of how that child has been brought up. Because if you bring up a child in the right way, they are going to turn right in future, and this happens through modeling, role modeling. And again also, when we have publicity and we have laws in the country which are strong enough to prevent these sort of actions. Mr. Speaker, I support and want to say that after this motion, we should take it upon ourselves with the leadership of Senator Asige, that we look at the law and strengthen it, and also use this house also to lobby against such violence as we make our debates, when we have relevant debates, so that there can be sensitization into the country that such a thing is very bad, and those caught, then we should see the law taking action on them so that in future no one repeats it and our children can stay safe. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Alexander Mundige.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa ruhusa nichangie mjadala wa Senator Asige. Mambo ya mauaji tumeyasikia kwa mara mingi, miaka mingi, siku nyingi, na watu wanafaa wajue, Bwana Spika, mambo ya mauaji katika Biblia imekataliwa. Mambo ya mauaji tumesikia vijana, wasichana, wache, hata kwa kina mama, na imekuwa ikichangiwa mara mingi pia hata kwa boma zetu. Yangu ni kuomba tu, hii mambo tunafaa tuyakomeshe, kutengenezwe sheria kama ni mambo kama hiyo itafuatiliwa namna gani. Kwa sababu inapitia kwa sana, hata kwa vijana, na unakuta saa ingine ni mambo ya kukosana njia ya vyama, ama njia ya pesa, ama njia ya mapenzi. Mimi ningeomba tu tuone ni dawa gani tunaweza tumia, ama ni itatumika hii mambo ikwame, kwa sababu unakuta hata kwa nyumba watu wakosana kidogo, unakuta bibi na bwana wanapigana, wanauana. Kwa shule zetu ya sekondari na zile nyingine za juu, unakuta vita, kijana akikataliwa na msichana, ama msichana akikataa mambo ya kijana, unakuta wanapigana. Na pia imechangia upande ya vile tunakaa, mambo ya hela na uongo mingi. Kwa hiyo ningeomba watoto wetu wale mko shule, wa vijana na wasichana, mjue ni nani mnatembea na yeye. Kwa sababu unaweza kuwa unatembea na rafiki, lakini si rafiki, ni adui yako. Kwa hivyo ningeomba vile tunaweza kuangalia hii mambo hiyo haitafanyika tena. Inaweza kuwa hata saa nyingine kwa biashara, hata kwa mambo mingi unakuta inaleta shinda